That's been the biggest disappointment for me with Fnatic, that I really want to see Vladi step up. Because I loved him so much last year. Yes, he had a weaker summer and then the spring and winter, but I feel like he can be such a great player. I haven't seen it on Fnatic. I want to see him with confidence because I know that he can be such a good team fighter.
For me, that jungle matchup is one I'm keeping my eyes on, as Razork, the former kind of king of the early game, is kind of being thwarted in contrast to our young rookie of Rhilech. This man has made a name for himself and already drawing that Ambessa ban alongside the Varus. It showcases Fnatic's respect towards that man in the jungle.
And the flex picks as well obviously can be terrifying. Reminder, we're back into Fearless. So after this game one, we are going to see 10 champions eliminated from the pool of potential options. Now, if you can see at the bottom of your screen, you see the coaches' names now, but a moment ago you saw right up first selection, Navi did choose second pick, which means last pick, which means counter pick on the blue side, Fnatic, of course, on the red side. So a bit topsy-turvy if you've been out of the loop for right of first selection, but blue side is red side now, kind of.
Yeah, and Rumble is banned, so we are not getting Cassandra Rumble to start off Fearless. I think we can all be pretty happy with that.
No, I'm not. I don't know.
It's going to be probably
the
Orianna.
audience wasn't ready to give it a round of applause.
It's going to be Orianna Azir though, so it's not exactly the most spicy flavors.
Yeah, this is also Poby, so Azir is one of his go-to champions. He's very comfortable on the matchup, unless he's feeling like it's Akali once more. You mentioned the last time they did play,
which was good until it wasn't. It was good until it wasn't.
Absolutely.
And I think that one of the things that we've been subtly saying by talking about prioritizing Drake control is that scaling front to back, you know, as is usually the case in a world where you just want to stack Drakes, might be the name of the game. So here we go. Jack, you talked about it.
There it is.
Azir, Orianna.
I mean, is it weird, given Riftbound, I've now just love Azir. I'm suddenly refreshed and revitalized about seeing this champion again.
That's the Riot Games dream.
That's,
They're like, you played Arcane, or you watched Arcane, now you think Vi is an interesting champion with skill expression?
Oh, that's Corki.
Mission accomplished. Oh,
there it is.
There is not a single piece of Riot Games IP that could save this champion in my eyes. I understand why you locked it in, but oh man, what is the opposite of spicy? This is,
yeah, I mean,
mild.
So Corki, naturally a very well-rounded champion. A lot of range available to Navi, as Fnatic responding with a very aggressive bot side. Kai'Sa, Renata. Kai'Sa and Nautilus coming through from the bot side of the map. A very strong duo, but a lot of dive threat. Typically they pair this alongside both the Ambessa and the Vi, but both are unavailable for Fnatic in this game.
And Jack, last year when we talked about the Kai'Sa versus Corki matchup, we talked about Corki should just be dominating it, but itemization has changed a ton since last year. Is this still super Corki favored?
I think quite a bit has changed both itemization-wise and with Corki in and of itself. They tried to make him a little bit more scaling. As we've seen in a lot of games, that his damage ramps up more than you'd expect, but in return, his early game is not as dominant. But I just love this confidence from Fnatic. I think Upset coming in with a really clear game plan. He wants to have this Kai'Sa that we've seen him do so well on last year, and I think it just allows him to have much more agency in the games, where it feels like, frankly, before, Upset was a non-factor.
I think Nocturne makes a ton of sense here. Whether or not they choose to ban it, I mean, Orianna Nocturne we've been seeing pop up around the world, and they're going to look to get rid of it. I think this makes a ton of sense for Navi. The other thing you could think of is Zhao, but that jungle pool is now getting very small. When we think about what's been very prevalent in the meta right now, in terms of skirmishes, Jarvan has been top of the list. We're seeing a ton of Vi. We still see a decent amount of Xin. Wukong has shown his face every now and then, not the most popular.
I mean, Wukong Orianna is a pretty nice combo.
Also true.
We'll see what they end up going with. I think the Jarvan doesn't have much value up against this Corki Azir. So probably looking to target one more jungler here to target Razork's pool and really pinch him.
But I mean, I feel like Fnatic is doing the same thing. That Aatrox, naturally you think of it as a top laner, but very much directed towards Rhilech, a man that has been bringing out these carry junglers throughout the regular split. Ambessa's gone, the Aatrox is gone, and so now the question will become, what else does he have in his pool to showcase?
That's a good point. They also use it as a flex, right? It's one of the few options that we have seen them put in both top lane and in jungle, so don't want to give a side that already has last choice in terms of counter pick here. A nice flexible blind pick option. Jax will be taken away from Empyros. Something we heard from Graps, he talked about it. Getting into Fearless is going to be big for this team because of the depth of the champion pools. He was talking about top lane specifically.
With these bans, this is looking like a Cassandra for Navi. We've seen Maynter play a ton of tanks in the top side, but with both Jax and the Gnar gone, I have to imagine that tank is what they want to grab.
I was actually thinking about the Xin Zhao as well, because often when you're going to go for the Xin Zhao, you think about banning that Jax because it works as both a flex into the Xin Zhao, but also just as a general pick, it's very good into the Xin Zhao. But it's going to be Zaahen instead.
Is it jungle Zaahen?
I would assume so, knowing that it's Rhilech. But
I've seen Blabber play this over in the LCS. I don't know if the LCK has brought it out. I haven't been keeping up with every single game over there, but I've seen it played in the jungle in competitive. Rhilech is known for his spicy picks, but as you've been saying, Drakos, throughout this draft, a lot of flexibility we're continuing to see with these jungle top combo from NAVI.
And Empyros here just going for that Renekton, wants to have an early game lane bully in case it's the Zaahen top. I think they want to try to force it jungle, and then Razork picking something strong into it early game as well, so just full fighting power here for Fnatic. I think the Zaahen though, I really like the Jackspektra because it's a great pick into it, and you can now flex it and choose where you want to put it. I would assume it should be pretty hard into the Renekton.
Yeah, it would be miserable. It's really not fun into the Renekton. So I imagine Sion, K'Sante, maybe they could do the Kennen as well as a possibility, depending on how confident Maynter is in his counter picks.
Kennen is not bad, I'd say. I would like the Kennen, although I do think he's probably just going to end up going for that K'Sante, as that's
I mean, so
where
far
we've
he's
seen
been
the
playing
most
a bunch
success.
of tanks
Yeah.
throughout the
I think
regular
Empyros breathes a sigh of relief after the last time he had to play the Kennen Renekton matchup. It did not work out so well. So in the end, your prediction of K'Sante was correct, albeit slightly delayed and with a bit of creativity in terms of the champion coming out. Zaahen in the jungle, something that's going to be pretty exciting to watch, but Fnatic, that composition feels so stable to me. You know exactly what you're getting out of it. Like you said, agency for upset, a good thing. On the opposite side, also kind of very stock standard, the spice coming from the jungle.
I think that Fnatic have a very well-rounded game plan. Solid dive. Kai'Sa wants champions that can threaten the backline with her, and she's got them. She's got enough setup. Nautilus can be both an engage and provide some decent peel. Orianna might be a little bit fragile with some of the threats that will be eyeing her up, but that's usually the case for Orianna in many games, and I think that Fnatic have come in with a very solid game plan.
I completely agree. I think both teams ended up with a really solid looking draft, but I like the adaptations that Fnatic have made more. I feel like they didn't really have a formula that worked. Now they're just putting the eggs back in the upset basket, and we'll see if he can pull it off.
The question is, how will this Zaahen perform? It's our first of the regular season, and I'm excited to see Rhilech bring out another champion, because, I mean, the man, he's been showing us all these carry junglers also that he's had good performances on them, and he's definitely someone I'm keeping my eye on in this matchup, going up against a tried and true early game jungler in the form of Razork.
Just continuing to be that innovator in the jungle position, and in Fearless, we're going to get to see those champion pools really pushed and tested again. In game one, a lot of what we kind of expected. We do now have a bit of a game delay here, but as we get into game two, even potentially a game three, we're going to have to start opening up. You know, Fearless 3 games, we really need 5, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
People are really throwing shade at best of ones, and I understand why, but I don't think Fearless best of 3 always has a...
I mean, there's a funny contrast here that, like, the top lane matchup is K'Sante Renekton, but then there's also Zaahen in the jungle, which you'd think would be like game 5 Fearless. So I love the spice that Rhilech is always willing to bring, and that he's always willing to pull out new picks. And it's just like, my mind is trying to think, like, if it goes to game 3, what would Rhilech be able to pull out at that point, you know?
We've got to get to game 1 first, bro. Like, I love the forward thinking and the excitement and the idea of what can happen.
Will he play every Darken? Will we get a Kayn game? I mean,
I don't
look,
think we're
he's
going
got
to get Parus
Aatrox,
jungle.
He's got Zaahen. Okay. You say it.
I do say
But
it.
if anyone can make it happen, that said, it probably won't be happening. Right now, we will be going into this game shortly, because due to a bug in the lobby, it had to be remade. So draft is going to remain the same, but we just have to reload all the things.
So we got a bit of time to yap. So also, this is your opportunity if you need a bathroom, if you need to grab a drink, get some food, this is your opportunity. Draft is done.
If you need a bathroom.
If you need
if you haven't purchased one yet,
I meant to say the bathroom.
If you don't, if for whatever reason your house
true.
or where you're at doesn't have a bathroom, this
I also
is
like the
time to
idea
acquire one.
of, like, you're watching and you need Vedi to tell you.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm
There
here
might
for.
be some guy who's like, oh. Like,
Thank you.
imagine, okay, imagine this. Your significant other is really into League of Legends. You have no idea what part of the game is important. You don't know when you're allowed to walk away
Yeah.
without it looking
Absolutely.
disrespectful to their
You're
passion
right.
and hobby.
You're right.
Betty,
Loading?
professional
Is that
commentator.
important? Are they, like, loading?
Is this important? You say
Gentlemen,
that.
I feel like we're maybe around, maybe I was just using it to buy time to think about what I was talking about next. Maybe also give you guys some time. Maybe it was a sort of like tactic we commentators use sometimes.
No, it couldn't have been that.
But I also like to think that it triggered a response that suddenly someone at home remembered, there's that thing that I need to do that
My
maybe just
human
helps me
bodily,
remember.
yes. Also, you need
No,
to eat and
hang on.
drink water.
I specifically said
Don't
need
forget-
a bathroom, and that person might not go,
Guys,
I don't need a bathroom.
Don't stop breathing.
I do need to
it
buy a
still needs to
closet.
happen. No
I
matter,
need to
no matter
maybe I need
what
to buy a
stage of the
closet.
game is in, you guys still need to breathe.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
Remember to drink some water, eat some food,
Yeah.
Don't breathe and drink water at the same time.
sleep if
though.
you need that.
We're just hitting all the basics here before we get into this game. Suffice to say, if this were an elimination game, we might be a little bit more serious. But remember that this is double elim bracket, best of 3 upper and lower for the first 2 rounds. So teams not only will have the luxury of potentially losing a single game, can afford to make a misstep, but can go to the lower bracket. That said, no one's excited to be in the lower bracket.
Nobody wants to be in the lower
Every
bracket.
team will cope. We'll give you an interview where
Yeah.
they say, we're so excited to have all this extra experience. And they might be right. But in the other timeline where they won in the upper bracket, they'll be saying, we're so glad we're not down there.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be in the do or die situation. And I think for Fnatic, just as an org, it would feel very disappointing. They tried to rebuild this year, and it hasn't worked out thus far, but this is a chance for them to show that BO3 magic finally proved that BO1s are a lie.
I mean, also, Fnatic could do with the win. I don't know if you guys follow Valorant at all. It's been a rough weekend. It's been a toughie.
I'm going to be honest. I stopped watching after Boaster stopped dancing. Was the gameplay as good as the dancing or not as good as the dancing?
I mean, let's just... Spoiler warning.
Now,
let's just say that he's got a lot of time for more dancing right now. Yeah.
I like it. The vague spoiler.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like it was kind of obvious. But
It might have been. It might have been. You got
let's
to
just say he lost.
Oh, Jack, come on.
Wow. Yeah. Well, now guys, I deliberately gave you more time to come up with topics to fill.
Well, the thing
now
is,
you're
like,
drawing
look,
blanks.
look,
Like, what are we doing?
no. It's. Do people need narrative at this point? Like, what am I gonna do?
I need to say something.
Okay.
Okay.
I like the new trophy. It looks pretty cool.
I do like the new
That's
trophy.
fair.
They've made adjustments, which I think have really are nice, because it reminds me of the old trophy, but it has some notable improvements. I think the crystal looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Shout out to the team behind the trophy. We probably should have learned.
It also splits up Versus from Spring and Summer.
Yeah. I do miss the shield stuff.
No, you
A
don't.
lot of people didn't like
Bro.
the shield. I like the shield.
I didn't like
trolling.
the
He didn't
shield.
like the shield.
I like it.
I'm
The
just
thing is,
saying.
the shields were introduced as soon as I started playing.
Well, everyone.
But we weren't close
You
to winning
meme on
anyway,
the
so.
shield, but if you're
That's why you didn't like
one, guys, if I'm gonna go live action roleplay on the weekend as a warrior, what am I gonna do with that trophy? Nothing. The shield, very practical.
That's true.
Anyway, that's enough of us yapping. Time to actually talk about League of Legends. Navi, Fnatic, 2nd seed versus 8th seed. Starting now.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Fnatic fans here, loyal, ready for a change in pace.
Absolutely.
Minions have spawned.
Let's see. I mean, Fnatic have surprised us before. As Jack mentioned earlier, they are coming in as the 8th seed. And really, I mean, the way they qualified, like...
It was not a...
It was not an easy... It was not like a... They are clearly in the playoffs. Like,
It was a sad slump.
basically, yeah.
Towards the finish
Things that went their way enabled them to secure a spot in the top 8. So it was a... this is a golden opportunity for them to prove that they have a fighting chance in this top 8, because right now they're not considered the favorites by any means. There's the bot lane already getting off with a bit of trading back and forth. Small victory for Navi in the 2 versus 2.
Yeah, I really liked Parus there. He went for the E start. So this is like a classic Nautilus Leona thing.
But I think the big thing that we have to talk about, you brought up Fnatic in the regular season, and part of the reason why it's so shocking is because if you look at their track record of success, if you start at the top, that's the weird thing where they had like Reckless and Advian and they swap people, that's 9th. Ever since then, top 4 without a question. And the thing here is, do they still have that same plot armor? Is this still a team that can ramp up in the playoffs? It's a really fair question to ask, and this first series is going to be a strong indicator of whether best of 1 is the demon here, or if this new Fnatic just has some bigger problems.
But Navi here getting some great traits on this bot lane. So Parus crucially started E in this matchup, which allowed him to continue trading with Lospa and gave them some good trades. Because level 1, as the Kai'Sa Nautilus, you really want to try to utilize that Kai'Sa all-in with the lethal tempo to try to get Prio up against the Corki. But especially when you have the Nautilus into the Leona, who can typically trade stronger level 1. But with Parus being able to get those good trades, is now Navi already off to a good start in the bot lane, getting Prio, getting some good trades.
Junglers both pathing towards the bot lane now. In the past, for anyone that wasn't a Fnatic follower, you should know that historically, Fnatic has been quite a bot-centric team. The only exception to that was when Caps was on the roster. But unsurprisingly, both junglers will likely want to be involved there early. Mid is very much scaling. Top is not super interactive, and a nice hook does connect. A barrier already popped there. Somebody taking a massive chunk of damage as Lospa finds a nice opportunity. And now this could open up junglers, but that's why Parus made that move, to get information as to where Razork was. They know that he's on the bot side, but Rhilech isn't that far away to offer support should it be.
That's a classic ADC mistake. I've done that myself. Like, Parus is going a little bit deeper toward than you expect, and then you suddenly get hooked and you wonder where your support is. Ends up being somebody having to recall here a little bit early, but with Parus looking to try to hold this wave and delay them a little bit, not too much CS should be lost for somebody, especially with the new home guards that aren't so new anymore, but allows him to get back into lane very damn quickly here, as Parus is just trying to annoy Fnatic bot lane and delay their push as much as possible.
They lost one minion, so not too bad at all.
No, not at all. Top side, of course, Empyros still holding on to the push for now, throwing Maynter away. This was a bit of a tough matchup. We did see, unsurprisingly, the last time these two teams played, I believe, K'Sante versus Rumble. So, you know, the same thing we saw in almost every other matchup. This time around, Renekton pulling ahead as expected, despite the flex pick of the Zaahen.
Or Rhilech. Nothing happens.
I'd be really surprised if anything did happen. Azir doesn't exactly have... Oh, Poby. I mean, we all did see that, but we'll pretend that we didn't.
That seems respectful, Vedi.
Yeah. He's a little bit behind Vladi. But again, in this matchup, normally Azir... normally Azir falls behind. The Orianna, we've seen many Oriannas just absolutely dominate this matchup. If you're willing to play hyper-aggressive, Vladi showcasing some respect, cautious of potential early ganks from Rhilech.
Yeah, it was G2 versus Fnatic where we saw Caps demolish Vladi on the opposite side of this matchup when Caps was playing the Orianna into Vladi's Azir. But now, Poby weathering the storm. Able to get some good trades just dashing in here and maybe even get the push. Very nice for this Azir, especially level 5, because it's really after his level 6 that this matchup gets a little bit easier for the Azir because he gets that shuffle. So whenever his support or jungle is close, he can always just look to threaten with that ultimate.
Yeah, I also just like the decision to extend trades when you have lethal tempo, right? Not if you're going to get comet poked, you might as well commit for a little bit more, keep the trades going, get that additional attack speed steroided. Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Vladi is not liking the decision to extend these trades, as this lane has gone from, well, expectations being heavily Orianna favored to pretty damn Poby favored.
And let's not forget that it was Fnatic coming into this year that kind of had the choice of what was going to happen to Poby, whether they wanted to keep him or find a new mid laner, and the reality is that they replaced him. Vladi was supposed to be that upgrade. Coming over from KC, I mean, we saw how as the year progressed, it felt like that his performance did decline. And it felt like that the environment, what was happening in KC just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so ideally, like both of us said, hopefully a new environment, a new space, new teammates will give him an opportunity to return to that winter form. But we haven't really seen that from Vladi, whereas Poby, he's just been as solid as a rock. He's just been very consistent, very reliable. And I mean, you can see it in his placement, 4th, 4th, 4th. Like, he sits there in a very comfortable spot.
Valk back here, have an initial stun coming from the Zenith Blade, fall up at the Shield of Daybreak. Now Razork's ticking, burning health bar, forced to flash out. Rhilech throws the glaive forward to no effect, but he was there, and his presence was all that the team needed, it seems, is forcing that early flash is going to make things a lot more difficult for Razork, especially as you get closer to this first Drake. Yeah,
we might have a fight for Scuttle Crab here as both teams are looking to move in. Razork, no flash, crucially.
Good vision, bit of a disconnect from Lospa and upset as they turn back onto Parus. Parus isolated. Avshock about to fall away, but it's first blood on the top side of the fight is, unsurprisingly, the flashless Xin. A pretty easy target for Navi to punish.
A great play by their Rhilech. He flashes in, he's able to secure the crab with the smite and starts off the dragon, but isn't able to actually continue doing it.
I just kind of love that my reference for Zaahen jungle is Blabber, and then we get a big fight for the second crab to get level 6 as well. And it's something that's super important because you can see both junglers were so close. Razork's XP at the bottom of your screen, get that crab, one of the junglers gets the level 6, right? And so the fact is he was able to flash in, smite, steal it away, get that level 6, and Razork doesn't have flash. Now look at the positioning of Vladi. He dropped his whole combo onto Poby. He still has the shockwave, doesn't end up dropping it. They kind of decide, okay, well, I guess it's not worth the fight as the bot lane can't get involved either. And so they contest the crab that Navi just walked in, pushed them off, got it, first blood, they got everything they wanted.
Definitely a good deal, but of course, while we were in the replay, it looks like Maynter was forced to flash and ulti, trading with Empyros' flash. So now Fnatic have a bit of a strong side to play around if they want to return to the top lane, as Empyros really just trying to make that individual feel felt, because he's the only player in this game on the side of Fnatic with a lead.
Yeah, and he's quietly building up quite a big lead here with the 500 gold, 17 CS, able to get 2 plates, and now the flash as well. Definitely a lane for Razork to potentially look for, especially now since you're going to be losing those 3v3s on bot lane with Rhilech being a bit further ahead. And you also have kind of that trauma of already doing one bot gank and it not working out. So I would love to see Razork play towards top, but something in my mind tells me he's probably still be going bot.
Well, my expectation is this Dragon is going to be Navi's focus once again. We know that Navi is a Dragon-focused team. Statistically, they have the highest number of Dragons secured so far in the whole of the LEC. And I think that their whole approach to Dragons has been really nice to see. When you have this young rookie, you have a very clear and deliberate game plan. And I think that this game plan from Navi has been super effective at just aligning the team around a common objective. And they've done a fantastic job throughout the regular season of being super consistent at getting those Dragons as well.
Yeah, and I think that just being able to stack those Drakes is crucial, but we do have a fight breaking on the bottom side. Razork level 7, but just big chunks of damage coming in from Zombie and Parus. The Sunlight passive from Leona paired with this Corki burst is kind of disgusting.
And Fnatic are just weaker 3v3. They're not able to take any fights, even though Razork wants to look for it again and again. And now Navi will be able to pick up this first Dragon. Razork might try to run to Grubs to try to get a cross map going. It looks doubtful though. It's just Navi all across the map winning right now.
This is one of those things where it's nice to see kind of tangible coach impact, because we know that Gota1 is a part of this Navi roster, but he was also originally part of the 2023 BDS roster that we saw had second highest Dragons in the league. Now back then, Dragons were a little bit different to what they are now, of course, 3 years ago. But that BDS roster, that roster did end up going to Worlds. They did contest in the finals in spring. And you can see that translating over. This Dragon-focused team, you have to imagine, has been impacted by this coach support behind the scenes.
I think you saw it, like, for me, the clearest you saw it was with Navi versus LR, where LR as well, their strategy was just to stack Drakes every single game. But Navi just got the better hand of him and got all 4 Dragons that game. And it's just such a tried and tested strategy. It's super easy to execute. It works with any team comp. And when it works, you just choke the opponent out slowly and give them no real opportunity to return.
And I think part of the reason it seems pretty easy for Navi to implicate new picks is we see Rhilech moving in the bottom lane. Does still have access to the ultimate, the Grim Deliverance. Zombie caught out under the tower, but massive damage and loss. The Zombie needs to get out from under the tower. It looks like he might just go down the barrier. Not enough. I don't know if Zombie understood that he was tagging, but he might just be happy with this trade deal because Rhilech is going to get right back up. And Upset is sure as hell dead.
Beautiful dive from Navi. They were not done with the bot lane just yet. No Razork to offer support. And while Upset does get a kill back, the overall win goes to Navi. A 1k gold lead secured.
I mean, somebody messed up there a little bit, tanking tower the whole time, but still, I love Rhilech's aggression here. He knows that Razork is not here, so he's just zoning Upset away. Now, somebody, crucially, is just kind of like continuing to tank up the tower. Should have probably flashed out earlier, but with that Zaahen revive, Rhilech is able to take down Upset and still come out on top.
I mean, you could argue that the whole plan was to bait Upset in, you know? That's the plan. I mean,
are we at that point in the cast? Are we in the mental gymnastics
all
point?
I'm going to say is that Rhilech is now 2-0-1, you know what I mean? And that carry jungler having that carry performance that we've come to expect from Navi.
I mean, it's a good point, and something that you talked about earlier I think ties in nicely to this, where it's simplify the game plan. It's a simple game plan, and it makes it that much easier for Rhilech to figure out how to fit into it when he plays new champions like Zaahen. And this is the nightmare of anyone playing against Navi, because every time we talk to him about this jungler, his fun picks are like, haha, whatever, this guy plays Aatrox, it doesn't matter. Now we're in playoffs, and he keeps playing cool stuff,
yes,
and the rest of our junglers are playing boring stuff. It's gonna be a little egg on the face there. It's going to be a little bit embarrassing for the rest of the junglers in the league.
Ooh, they're looking for a gank in mids.
Poby. Quick slide, but back into enemy territory. Flash away from the shockwave is good. Rhilech on the way in. Dash forward. Flash connecting. The stun is massive onto Vladi. Razork not able to interrupt it. The ulti not in range. Navi.
Oh my god, Parus, I love the flash forward there. Just ulting Vladi, who has no flash himself, able to take him down. Just the confidence that we're seeing from Navi this game. They're willing to take every single play that they see, and it's working out wonderfully thus far for them.
I mean, they're quickly starting to snowball this game. Rhilech going for a bit of a skirmish against Razork. He should be fine to get out of this one, though.
Lospa hooking in. Grim Deliverance takes it back to the wall, but Parus is still committing to the fight. Now Rhilech is going to return to the fight. They feel confident enough. Poby's coming in. They're going to have the man advantage. Parus is still alive. Lock into the Iron Solari. All that extra money. Man, making him that much stronger, and it's a double kill for Rhilech.
I love how the communication there from Navi was, okay, I'm going to disengage. Rhilech hesitates, says, oh, maybe I need to get out of here. And then when Parus arrives, he's like, no, no, fight, fight, we have to fight. And you can see the point at which they decide to. So here Parus is like, okay, I'm coming to help. They kind of say, no, we should disengage. But no, the comms from the team are, mid can collapse first, Samdi is there, Parus doesn't need to flash, let's re-engage. They go back into the Dragon Pit, they turn it into a 3 versus 4, and they find themselves 2 kills.
And it's so crucial there, how Rhilech is able to buy so much time to allow those carries to actually move, so they can get that good playoff as Poby.
Pushes Vladi back at the
very short
Okay,
push.
that was, so I'm pretty sure, observers, you could pan the camera a little bit up. Basically, I think what's happening is here, this wall right here stopped Orianna from flying all the way, and she just kind of bounced awkwardly.
That looks pretty funny though.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably would have been a kill. No flash on the Orianna, something you were talking about in draft, that you always try to punish when the Ori has no flash using that Azir ulti.
But the thing is, Navi's early game has been so dominant that Poby can just laugh that off. It doesn't matter. It's an ulti cooldown. There's still 3,000 gold in the lead. Now, don't get me wrong. Empyros, the last bastion of hope. That Greek god up on the top side praying he can bring everything together for the rest of the team. But it's looking rough.
Absolutely is. I mean, things are just going the way of Navi. All the action's happening on the bot side of the map. Second dragon of the game about to spawn. And, I mean, Navi's already in a great spot. Base is going to come through from Parus. He wants to refresh those wards because he doesn't have any available to him. With the bot control that they have and the mid control, I think this should still be easy for them to contest.
Yeah, it's so hard for Fnatic to fight around this bot side. And you'd want to try to leverage this Renekton lead into something further, but with the fact that Razork has just been full clearing on repeat the bot, he's not really able to ever try to shut down this K'Sante. And the worry as well is if he goes topside, then his bot lane just gets dove again. So it's a tough situation for Fnatic, and especially when you're playing this Renekton, unless you're able to get a huge gold lead, it's so hard to have an individual carry potential as the champion just doesn't scale that well.
And you can even see there, ulti utilized by Empyros. Damage was good, but just has to be careful. Fury fully stacked, maybe a tiny window here where he can double dash through, try to force a fight, but this doesn't look like a lane matchup where one player has 1,000 gold in their favor. It still looks quite close. Empyros without information also doesn't feel comfortable to just go all in here. Doesn't really know, now that the Drake has been down for some time, where Rhilech is playing towards.
I also just like to think of Renekton and his scaling as how many short-range champions is he against. And speaking of one of those long-range champions.
Poby on the way up. Flash forward for Maynter, getting the extra slow coming from the W, and now he's taking down Empyros.
And look at the lane assignments as well. You've got an Orianna solo in the bot lane trying to chip away at this tower. Poby's going to take over top lane, start getting a plate for himself as he chunks away Razork's HP. He's now down to 50%. Vladi is slowly working towards this tower. Maybe if they can secure it first tower of the game at the very least for Fnatic.
But this feels like such a big morale loss as wait. We have a TP coming in here, Fnatic.
Parus using the Eclipse, trying to stay as tanky as possible. Second TP is going to be a little bit late from the side of Navi. Vladi trying to make the difference. A nice flash over, but he still gets caught!
Wait, I thought it was the Renekton, but the Renekton's still dead.
That was a bad TP.
That was an ambitious TP for sure.
All right, we're going to take it down a notch, I guess.
Game one of the series, ambitious.
Ambitious.
I guess Poby had to make up for the Azir ult that happened in the mid lane, right?
Yes.
You thought you flashed this one. Nope. Scooped you back in.
That he did. Guys, Navi, they're replicating the early game success the last time these two teams faced up against each other. Fnatic, however, really going to need to pull a rabbit out of the hat on this one because...
I mean, do we have those early game stats? Because the Analyst did bring it up. We'll bring it up after this replay. But look back at this action. So Maynter was trying to base in this brush multiple times. I guess Empyros thought that he'd finally actually gone back to base.
Yeah.
But he'd bought enough time for Poby to arrive. The cavalry was also coming in from the river. And even if they don't get that kill, they still get the Herald, and they're looking to try and drop that somewhere. It just wins across the board for Navi.
Yeah, it's a really smart rotation by Poby, just opening up towards that top for the Herald as well, and he ends up getting a free kill. Ends up getting 2 free kills, actually, with Vladi TPing in. I thought when this TP happened, I was like, I think Renekton's still dead, but I guess it has to be Renekton TP, and it's going to be a good fight for Fnatic. And then it's Vladi. Yeah, the Fnatic stats are...
And Navi delivering as expected from the regular season. First in first tower, first in first Drake, first in Drake percentage, first in Herald percentage. Fnatic.
They also got a first blood in this game.
Trailing in every metric, and that pattern has continued into playoffs. Best of 3 has not been that moment of revitalization yet, even this is only a single game. This is these are tough numbers that are being reflected in our first game.
I think a great clickbait title is the Fnatic had 0 first Drakes in the whole regular season. And they didn't get a single Drake yet this game, so they're keeping that record up. As now finally it's the Renekton TPing behind. Let's see if they can do something with it.
TPing in, follow from upset now to kill Parus. Poby trying to hold the line underneath the Sun Disc here. Pushback is good, on to 3. Rhilech now looking to follow. Got to be ready with the Grim Deliverance. Z instantly tries to turn the fight back. Somdi already taking down upset. 1v1 between Razork and Somdi, but it's Rhilech versus the world as he wants to keep fighting. The revive not there anymore. They're crucially well timed by Fnatic to find the shutdown. Somdi also not winning out on the 1v1 with the Xin as Razork just keeps going. One more auto on to do it. Somdi praying for a miracle. One more auto. It's Somdi!
Oh my God!
With the big one!
But Somdi's able to pick up a kill there, but it's still a giant breath of relief for Fnatic. They're able to finally find a play of their own and get some gold back on the board as Vladi now can push in this bot side, get a plate for himself, and they got a crucial shutdown on Rhilech as a TP comes in, but it's not going to be anything. And finally we see the Renekton flanking TP, and it works out quite a bit better.
Was this team fight enough is the question, but let's look back at it, because for Fnatic, the Renekton getting involved was what they really needed to have happen. A good TP from Empyros allows them to catch Parus out, and they still have the numbers advantage. There's no way for Maynter to join this fight. Poby with a good ulti buys him a decent amount of time, but Razork is quick to follow. Now this flash from Rhilech, also quite ambitious.
The things he cancels his E, that's crucial. So then he ends up losing the passive stacks as well. And just dies very fast. And very surprising, I'm not gonna lie, as an ADC main, when I see this 1v1, Zaahen has way more HP than
The
Corki.
W does a lot of damage.
The W does a lot of damage. It's a full stack conquer Corki. And he gets him in the end.
My bad, sorry.
Holy shit. So unlucky.
I like this, the
Duality.
the
Duality. I mean, Razork was close in the 1v1. Rhilech, I think, got a little greedy, got punished. Obviously, the champion does still need his cooldowns to get in range. And if you misplace him, no matter what kind of lead you have, it's pretty easy for Fnatic to cut you out. That said, control, Odo said it on the analyst desk. That's what he wants to see for Navi. And for the most part, outside of that play, we have seen it as there's a 1v1 topside, but more importantly, the third Drake now picked up. That said, Somdi, Parus on the top side, completely isolated despite the fact that their team is taking Drake. Bit of a risky gamble. As Upset goes over the wall, he wants redemption. He'll 1-for-1. It's fight night for the 80 carries. His Maynter is also going to fall. Navi want to keep fighting for some reason as Rhilech and Poby are desperate to turn this around, keep the numbers in their favor. They're currently down 1. Rhilech is powerful. Grim Deliverance there. Wants to finish off Razork. Doesn't quite hit with the Dark Glaive. Needs to follow up. Poby with an instantaneous pushback. Could be enough. Shockwave from Vladi is good, but the damage really isn't there. Soldier sent over the wall. Rhilech continuing to stack the passive, and it looks like the fight will finally fizzle.
It's a 3-for-3 at the end of it, but I think Fnatic have discovered a pretty good strategy, and that is attacking in the setup. You'll see that Navi is trying to just clear out this vision, but they have 3 members in the jungle, and they've got Empyros who can collapse first, so they immediately create this numbers advantage, a 4 versus 2. It takes time for the rest of Navi to arrive, but look at that goal difference. 800 for Upset, 400 for Samdi, so trading even when you're behind is ultimately a good thing for Fnatic just because of that extra gold that you're getting into your pocket.
Yeah, it's great to see Fnatic finally doing some proactive plays. Parus there was a little bit too fast to try to set up that top side, as you said, Vedi. They'd just done the dragon, and Fnatic finally find an opportunity to pounce, but you can really see the gold lead, that even though they start that off with the numbers advantage, it still ends up being just a 3-for-3. So now they're looking for Poby, but I mean, it's an Azir. You're not going to be able to kill him.
Again, the incredible performance in the early game is what's allowing Navi to make 1 or 2 missteps. Good on Fnatic, good on Upset to fight back, to try to keep that gold close. You can see only 400 separating Somdi and Upset. But Navi can't afford to make another mistake like that. That said, 3 minutes until Mountain Soul will spawn for them. They have a Cassante. They have a Leona. Fnatic going to need to be ready to fight for that one.
The thing for me is that these fights, the reason why they're good for Fnatic is it gives them a fighting chance at that Soul. You've got 3 more minutes now to try and finish what you can. Dusk and Dawn has to be quite close for Upset. It's still relatively expensive, given that he's only got 2 of the 4 components needed, but he's working towards it. 2 items finished for Vladi as well. That Shockwave is now going to hit that extra bit harder. So just securing these extra items in anticipation of the next fight, yeah, there's still about a half item difference in favor of Navi, but at least you're in a better position, ready to contest this next dragon, which is in 2.5 minutes time.
You can see the total gold Upset still near the top of the leaderboard. It's really Vladi who is starting to lag behind a bit, but you mentioned it. Item completions are the thing that matters. You get so much out of the passives of those items, so much gold value is back there, but it might not matter if Empyros is caught out. A flash before the fight, pretty devastating for the Renekton, and it might cost him even more. Pathmaker coming in from Maynter, likely just a quick death from Empyros. He tries to double dash out to safety. Now Razork there to cover, so it is going to be Rhilech's flash traded for Empyros's, which around an objective fight, I don't know if that's a great deal.
It's a pretty even trade overall. Obviously, Renekton's backline threat is now going to be weaker, but then Rhilech's backline threat in the same vein is also just going to be a little bit harder to pull off. The person I'm just keeping my eyes on mostly is Sam D. This man feels so strong right now on the Corki. Look at those 3 items just ready to go, fully finished ahead of the Dragon. 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Let's see how close Upset is. Can he complete that Dusk and Dawn? I feel like he's probably got enough gold now.
I definitely do think he should be having a... And I also just, I love the Dusk and Dawn. I think it's a fantastic item on Kai'Sa. He completes it now, as you can see. And it just provides so much more burst damage with that Sheen proc that procs your passive so much faster, while also giving you the W evolve, and you get the E evolve as well from the attack speed. So you're just able to do a lot more damage than you would with Nashor's Tooth, with more burst, and a little bit of HP as well. I mean, what's not to love?
The only other question is, can Poby finish that Leandries ahead of the fight? Oh no, I've forgotten the name. It's that component for Void Staff that I always... No, for Vladi.
Lightning Jewel.
The Blighted Jewel, yeah. Giving that extra bit of penetration will be valuable ahead of the fight. If Poby doesn't complete his Leandries, then I think Fnatic should feel pretty comfortable about the upcoming fight, because itemization-wise, it's still very similar for both sides, and that means that execution will be key. The big advantage NAVI have right now is vision control. If our observers can showcase what Fnatic can see on the map right now, you'll see that overall it's very minimal. They have very little control around the Dragon area. It is full darkness on that bottom side, and that means they're going to have to gain access into Azir, Corki, which is not an easy thing to do.
The approximate knowledge of what's happening on the map is not nearly as good as the just about absolute knowledge that NAVI are bringing to the table right now, although TP to the mid lane means there's going to be at least some fighting over Prio here. Bot wave pushing in the favor of NAVI for now, but Fnatic look like they want to force the fight. Maynter caught out, definitely not the ideal tanky target, but if NAVI fight into that choke point, the Orianna can have a big effect. They're trying to split Vadius off from the rest of the team. Rhilech hasn't been able to get involved though. Parus heal coming out just to get him out. Fnatic happy to have the poke. Did just fist fight their way into the river. First access to the Drake now.
I like this a lot. Just don't care about the vision. Rush towards the Dragon. They now have control, and here comes the TP.
TP behind. Hook onto Parus. Fnatic want to turn. Poby has been locked up. Empyros now trying to follow. Rhilech wants to make the difference as Lospa gets lower and lower. Maynter into the entire team. Razork zoned away. Razork down. The Dragon still standing as Empyros tries to make the difference, but he's been forced back. Poby to pick up the kill. Rhilech still standing. The revive coming in. NAVI devastating Fnatic in the fight as they set their sights on the soul.
And Rhilech does so much damage in the back lines there and buys so much time with the revive. It's Mountain Soul for NAVI. They're pushing down mid lane. They're going to go for the Nash as well. And the fates of Fnatic might just be sealed here in game 1.
And Vladi dies without even using the shockwave, which is the most surprising thing to me. Like, I felt like there were opportunities. We'll look back at the replay. It is Fnatic that initiate. They target Parus to eliminate that front line. A nice hook from Lospa, an ulti onto Poby to force him out of the fight. Still no shockwave used. Look at the positioning of the Zhao sitting on top of both Rhilech and Samdi. That ultimate could have been a difference maker, but then the carries are forced to retreat. Rhilech has the passive to bring him back up. Samdi is there to assist. And NAVI, they just dominate the front to back.
And Vladi hasn't had that redemption that I've really been wanting to see from him.
I mean, look
Hope
at the
he
damage
can bounce
difference.
back for game 2, but it's not enough for this Fnatic roster. I think Upset, he's doing a lot, but it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough.
This is now dire straits for Fnatic.
But a super clean game overall for NAVI.
Again, credit to NAVI for not getting too caught up trying to force their way in initially on that play. Because, as you highlighted, Vladi was in a great spot for the shockwave. If they had tried to force through that choke point, they might have lost. They waited, they took the time for the TP, and now well rewarded for it. Not looking to make the same mistakes the last time we saw these two teams play, even if they did maybe fumble around the top side a little bit earlier. That has really been the only difficult point for them. Outside of the top lane 1v1, this has been NAVI dominant from just about start to finish.
It would be an incredible sense of deja vu if NAVI were to now throw this game.
I would be shocked if they managed to throw this.
It would be impressive in its own right as Maynter getting chunked out slowly but surely. Upset with the Seekers. Help a lot in that fight, but you see the poke coming in from the team is
With the
pretty
Mountain
big.
Soul, it's tough. You really need some pen on this Kai'Sa if you are to actually kill this front line, especially with how tanky Maynter is. But Navi can just continue playing it slow, letting the Nash do the work for them. They can get this bot lane inhib, and then look to recall and play mid and top.
Flash is also not too far off, so the Baron doing such a fantastic job for Navi to shore up that period of time where they don't have access to that crucial spell. And again, it's not over till it's over. We've learned that firsthand many times here in the LEC.
That's true.
But this is, they've just about got this one done.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you have to think about the greater series now, right? For both Navi and for Fnatic. Navi in a winning position, they need to close this one out, but Fnatic came into game one with what we felt like was a clear game plan, right? They should have had a winning mid, but Poby got the better of Vladi.
Yeah.
In terms of the early skirmishes, it was Rhilech that got the better of Razork. And if your whole game plan is we want to play around bot, we want to try and play towards bot, we have setup on bot, and then you lose the first crab, you lose the early skirmishes, your bot lane is getting tower dived, does this then completely eliminate the game plan for Fnatic moving forward? Or do they double down and instead say, no, we just executed poorly game one, we just need to run it back?
You already know they're doubling down. Come on, it's Fnatic.
Seems like that's probably the call as the ulti's going to come out. Grim Deliverance is a grim escape here for Rhilech. Nice to be unstoppable in that moment as Navi try to keep the pressure up on the top side. 6 seconds left on the Baron wave here, though, so I imagine they start to back away in a moment.
I do admire that Fnatic consistently punish this misposition. We've seen it throughout the game from Navi. When a person is in the wrong place at the wrong time, they will pounce on that target. They did that here. They only get the ulti out from Rhilech, but trying to make those plays happen when you're this far behind is the type of play that you need to make, because the game is pretty much already guaranteed to go, so you've got to make something happen. It's better than nothing.
I do think that's the #1 thing you can always take away from Fnatic is they're great at pulling the trigger. But it looks like in this game it's not going to be enough for them. They really need to have a better laning phase, I think, for both and mid. It was a good early game from Empyros. Built a big lead for himself, but really need Upset and Vladi to be further ahead if they want to come out ahead in this series.
And I gotta say, some love is definitely needs to go Parus' way as well. Some really clutch fights. Yes, he did overstep. 1 or 2 of his deaths might have been sloppy, but the
you
early
gotta
play...
do that on Leona. Come on, you gotta play like a champ.
The early play, incredible, especially compared to what we saw from this player last year. Certainly a huge development arc for him, and now in this entire Navi lineup is... Look, we're running out of things to say, so thank God they're going to start fighting, because this should just be the final push for Navi. It is best of 3, though. Maybe they don't want to take any risks. Tutorial style.
It's best of 3, so they don't want to win too fast. Well, as a fight happens
Hold
here,
that thought
Lospa.
as Razork now going to the back line. Nice shockwave to follow, but the solar flare on top stops any potential follow-up for the jungle top of Fnatic. In the meantime, Upset's been entirely split away from the team. He just can't even auto-attack. It's a double kill for Rhilech. Maynter has isolated somebody else. I didn't even see who, and frankly, it doesn't matter. Navi in game 1, 11K ahead from start to finish. They have been dominant here. Fnatic sent packing, sent back to the drawing board for game 2 as Navi on the road to a quick 2-0.
And Navi, they got all 4 Drakes. They played the same style as Fnatic. We'll play around bot lane too, and we'll do it better than you.